Hey everyone, this is Karen Waksman, founder of Retail MBA, and I'm so excited for today's call. We're going to be talking about copywriting, and this is Jennifer Hudye. I said your name right? And
Yeah.
yoo-hoo! And she's awesome. I've known you for a really, really long time over the years in terms of just, she lives in the same area as me. We've run into each other at different conferences and so forth. She's super successful as a copywriter, and ultimately she's part of the Genius Network, which is a group of entrepreneurs that, it's a high level mastermind group, and she's spoken there and stuff. And essentially, I had her come here today, and I'll ask you who you are and why you know what you talked about in just a second. But I asked Jennifer to come here to talk about how do you get people to buy things online in an epic way, in a conscious way, for e-commerce sellers specifically, because she works with the best of the best. I mean, Genius Network, there was an interview with Joe Polish. If you haven't seen it, he's part of this virtual summit. He talks about Genius Network at length, but essentially, weren't you part of you were a co-host for the world's greatest copywriting, what was it? What was the name of it?
World's greatest copywriting panel.
Panel.
Yeah. Yes. Like copywriters.
The whole world, right? I mean, you guys were all part of it. Tell me some of your clients and who you are, kind of a little bit more, Jennifer.
Yeah. So, founder at Conscious Copy, and our focus is really helping, vision-driven entrepreneurs be able to communicate their whatever they want to sell, their products, their services, in a way that really gets people to take action through their copy. And some of the clients that we've worked with are kind of household names like Joe Polish and Eben Pagan and Bedros Kilian and JJ Virgin, Sally Hogshead, Shalene Johnson, BulletProof Coffee, many, many others.
Dave's actually on this as well. So Dave,
amazing.
BulletProof Coffee, so he's also part of this. It's exciting. Okay, so like amazing people, and let's just get to it, Jennifer. Like, let's talk about copy. So these are e-commerce people. They're trying to sell stuff online. I guess what we can do is we can talk about examples of people that you work with and like kind of the things to focus on. Maybe we can talk about, let's use supplements, for example. People come all the time with supplement products. Like, what exactly would you say to somebody who's creating a supplement, he's trying to put it out in the world, there's a ton of competition, there's a lot of people buying and selling this type of product, but it happens all the time. What would you do? How would you use that as an example to support somebody? We really want to make it educational here.
Yeah. So the first thing that you really want to look at, whether it's supplements or any kind of product or service, is getting really, really clear of who is your ideal customer, right? And we all hear that all the time, like who's your avatar or your ideal customer, but specifically from the perspective of copy, you really want to have the answers to 3 questions. Number 1 is, what is their current situation that is going on in their world? And say for the example of supplements, maybe someone is feeling, exhausted, or they're having stomach issues, or they're having, fatigue halfway throughout the day, or they're having anxiety, like whatever. You want to get clear of like, who is that person that you want to attract in? And I know oftentimes with like supplements or e-com products, it could be like, well, everyone could be our audience. But if you were to really zone in on who is the most probable to purchase, the person that you really do want to help, what's going on in their world? So really answering, what are the top 3 situations that they're currently going on, that are going on for them? And then on the other side, I can't talk, what are the top 3 outcomes that they really want, that they desire? Is it more energy? Do they want to have a boosted immune system so that they won't get sick? But you want to paint the picture as specific as possible of where they want to go. And then the third one, which is actually in the middle, is what is getting in their way? What are the challenges or struggles that they may be having in this area that your product can help them with. So that's like the first one, because any copy that you create, you want to make sure you are communicating in your ideal client's language as much as possible. And that's something that I see e-com companies sometimes get stuck in, is they're just talking about the product versus talking about what the product is going to do for their customer, how their life is going to look different.
I have actually a perfect example of that. I had a client who approached us with the product, and it was a supplement, and they were just using the ingredients of the product. So this is kind of ties into what you're saying. So they were using the title with the ingredients of the product. It was some phosphate, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Whatever it was of the supplement. And he wanted to put it on like retail shelves, right? Because I teach people how to get into stores. And I was looking at it, I'm like, the buyer doesn't care about this title at all. Change it to something more interesting, because everybody's selling something similar, something. So what you're saying is change it to like, fat buster, or
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Is
like
it going to boost their sex drive? Is it going to help them lose weight? Is it going to have them create more energy? Are they going to boost their immune system? Yeah. Like if someone goes and they're looking on a shelf of like hundreds of different supplements, and one has like technical jargon of words that they have no idea what they mean or how that's, useful to what their situation is. And one right there is like, fat buster, and it's, but boost your immune system and like lose weight fast. Like they're probably going to choose that one if that's their goal, right?
I actually did it and made like I think it was something obscene, like in 2 weeks made like $350,000 just because it's stupid name change, like just changed a couple of copy words. I mean, that's how important copy is, guys. It's so imperative to the success of your business, right? I mean, haven't you seen the transformation of people's lives when they switch up some of the words and focus on what the client actually really cares about versus what they care about? I mean, you've seen that, right?
It's the most important thing. It is the bridge between you knowing that you can help someone and them actually knowing that you can help them, and then making the decision to take action on what it is that you can help them with. Like it really is the bridge and the vehicle to help you get to where you want to go in your marketing, because it covers everything, whether it's a landing page, a sales page, the words on your bottle, the words in your emails, your social media posts, your paid ads. It's all copy.
So people probably are going to have some trouble with this one, right? Because it's like, can we give them some examples of different types of consumer products? I don't know, like just to help people out and thinking about what's the thing that they should focus on. Because I understand supplements, it's pretty easy, you know what I mean? Like less fatigue or whatever. But what if it's like some silly consumer electronics product that like the whole world already has? Like how do you find the gold in something like that? You know what I mean? Like I'm just using it as an example. But I mean, do you have any suggestions for people who can't really figure out what's the thing that's going to be so that interesting for their product? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the first thing, again, is like always looking at what is your ideal client or customer interested in. And then you can, when it comes to your copy or how you're selling it, there's a couple of different things that you're going to want to look at. Like, this is kind of a random example, but have you heard of that, what is called Avion Gin? It's like Ryan Reynolds gin brand.
I think I've heard something about his brand, but I haven't drank it or done anything with it. No.
Yeah. So there's like the most phenomenal commercial where he talks about the process of how they created this gin. And it's the most hilarious commercial because they like make jokes where they're like, all of the workers meditate for at least 2 hours in the morning before going out in the fields. And, and then we spray each individual blueberry with, like a fancy spritz. And then, we scoot on over. But the whole idea was like, okay, there's all of these other gin brands out there and they could compete on like the better taste and all of that. And that's important. But instead they focused on actually sharing some of the key parts of the process, which the client found intriguing, but they made sure to make it entertaining and engaging for their kind of customer. So looking at, is there anything that is unique to your process in how you've created whatever your product or service is? That's one
Really
way.
good point. It's a good point. I mean, I was just thinking about that. I mean, on a side note, like the Apple commercial during COVID, where, you know what I mean? There, or I think it was something where they were showing how people were working from home and looking like idiots with their underwear or whatever. You know what I mean? Like making it
Mm-hmm.
comical, making it fun, making interactive. I get what you're saying, but
Mm-hmm.
also the process as well. That makes a lot of sense for certain beverages and certain types of
Mm-hmm.
products.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and it goes back to really understanding what matter, like what are the values that and mindsets that matter most to like your kind of customer. Because another thing it can also, for physical products is um, value, bringing through your values or like mission, if that's what matters a lot to your clients. So, if it's like, hey, for every product that we sell, there is X amount of dollars that goes to some sort of foundation. That's going into strategy a little bit, but like if you already do those things, how can you bring them forth in your copy and your messaging is the biggest thing to think about. Because that one of the biggest mistakes that I see entrepreneurs make is they have these powerful, really great products, but they're not bringing forth and shining the light on the things that their consumers actually care about. They care about, maybe where it's from or the process. But the most important thing is they care, will it get me the result that I'm going to purchase it for? How is my life going to look better? So that is where the creative aspect of copy comes from, of like seeing where the gem is.
yeah.
And there's that saying, it's hard to see the message when you're in the bottle. So oftentimes what our natural part of the, creating the product is, or whatever it is, sometimes it's hard to see it because we just assume that everybody else is doing that.
Yeah, that makes perfect. Actually, yesterday, recently, I interviewed Forbes Riley. She's part of our virtual summit, and she mentioned she's sold billions of dollars on HSNQVT. She's amazing. And one of the things she says is whenever she has a new product, she will literally go out on the streets and she will sincerely ask random strangers, 100 people, what they think of the product, all the goods, all the bads, what they want to hear, what they wouldn't want to hear, like anything, and just as like out in the world. And she does that for every single product at like LA Prominent, whatever, wherever she can go. Which I don't know. I mean, that could be something that people do, right, in this scenario as well, to find out what the world thinks of this product. I mean, do you believe in testing and feeling stuff out that way as well?
Absolutely. I learned a very valuable lesson early on. Um, when before having my copywriting business, I had um, a company where I sold online programs, and heard that original quote, like, build it and they will come. And I built it and they didn't come. So then I was like, okay, what do I do now?
Well, I've experienced that as well, especially in the product education world.
Yeah, it's like marketing, it's bringing forth that message and being able to communicate to people how you can actually help them. So I learned many times the hard way, but then I heard this really powerful quote from Dan Sullivan, which was, test your ideas on check writers. Which we don't really write checks anymore, but from that point on, I before we develop and like really go into creating a product, I always test it first. And I'll even like sell beta ones. How can we pre-sell? How can we make sure that there's an actual need and desire here before we, and I'll actually think about creating the marketing and the copy first before ever developing a product or a service.
Like a pre-sale or something like that for any product, and then also testing the verbiage to use, right? So what are you doing? Placing ads out in the world to just make sure that it's working? Is that what you're talking about?
I go and talk directly to ideal clients or customers. So I find having those one-on-one conversations with them and actually documenting and recording in their language exactly what they're saying. And then I use that. That is that is gold when it comes to crafting copy, is hearing in their language, what are they saying they want, or their challenges or their frustrations are in this area. And then I use that in my copy.
I mean, for product companies, one of the things they're going to think about is like, who's going to pick up the phone and talk to me about my product. You know what I mean? Like in
Mhm.
terms of the specifics, like how do you extract that data from the right people? I mean, I don't know. Like, how would you do that? Just curious.
Yeah. So if for product companies, some of the things that I recommend is either looking on different forums, if there's places where your ideal customer is hanging out.
Mhm.
Say, for example, I don't know, you sell products that are connected to like new moms, maybe that are like baby towels and mats and all these things. Like there's probably hundreds of Facebook groups online with new moms,
Mhm.
and going and actually checking out those and first seeing just like what is the language that they're using for this ideal client. And then I would just reach out to a handful of them personally. Hey, we're developing this new product with, and if you don't know that person personally and they wouldn't just say like, yeah, for sure, how can you create something to be in it for them of saying, hey, if you're okay with us interviewing you, we'll send you some free product as a thank you for the customer research, or we'll send you, promo code once we launch. But getting that one-on-one feedback is so important. And you don't need a ton of it, but at least a handful to really understand the language they're using can oftentimes be so much different than the language you're using.
Yeah, actually with retail, I mean, one of the things that people always ask me about is if they want to sell online, I say, go to the websites, go look for the people who are actually doing really well. Emulate what
Mm,
they're saying about similar products to yours, because that actually can make the difference between you making a lot of money or not. They're just hitting the right words. Somebody out
totally.
there, there's nothing new in the world, right, in terms of consumer products. It's like really isn't. I mean, there's some version of an existing product out in the world. So even if you think you have the most innovative product, there's always some version of that. But I also believe in like going out there and like doing the work and also seeing what's working and what's converting, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, what other types of products have you worked with? Just so, like, I just want to give more examples of things that could support, the consumer product. Well, I'll give you one example. Like, I had a client who sold, like, what would you do for him? He only sells a charger for a laptop. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Just the charger part. I mean, how do you get people enticed? I mean, do you?
Mm.
How do you get them fired up about a charger for a laptop? What would you do there? Like, how do you
Mm-hmm.
get, some people really get stuck on these products. They don't know what to go, where to go, and how to get anybody excited about anything. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Yeah, so there's really five. So there's 5 steps. I call them the 5 C's to writing conscious copy. That whatever product or service that you're writing or you're creating, you want to hit these 5 C's. And the fourth one is credibility and trust. And I think one of the most important things, especially for maybe some of those brands, like um, e-com brands, say the charger, is really utilizing testimonials or reviews
Mm,
of others sharing. Like that is, in a way, even though that may not seem like copy, it's definitely a copy tool to help you build that trust and credibility. Because I do see for e-com brands, when they're showing up, to your site, if you have loads of reviews for certain things, that's how a lot of consumers are making their decisions. So he could share a lot if he has a ton of reviews or if he has tons of case studies or happy clients.
yeah, and
That's
actually, it's very similar. Like, if you're talking to anybody retail, they're always they go online first, immediately looking to see what the world is saying about your product. So it's probably the most important thing, and it's the one thing that most people miss out on, is that they're
Mhm.
not really thinking about the fact that people are eyeballing you everywhere. So you're absolutely right. It's a really good point. It's a really
Mhm.
good point.
Another one for that example too is really looking at, out of the 5 C's, the fifth C, which is your call to action. So anytime you're crafting any sort of marketing, we know, you want to make sure that you have a clear call to action. It's a clear, benefit driven, action driven text that tells them what you want them to do next, like buy now, click here now. But another layer underneath of that call to action is also seeing how can you create authentic urgency. So creating urgency, answering that question, why should they buy your product right now? on your website or wherever you're selling it. And that's where there's two areas you want to look at. One is time urgency, and the other one is quantity urgency. And so for the charger, for example, it could be like, hey, when there can be a bundle of, if you purchase 3 chargers, you're going to get a certain percentage off, that, or maybe sharing on your site, if you have a limited supply, let people know that you have a limited supply. Only 15 of these left or 12 of these left. Also doing certain incentives like, hey, if you purchase by Friday at 5 p.m., you're going to get this bonus other charger cord or something like that. So there's ways that you can like sweeten the pot to have people decide why now, which is a really important question to answer.
That's a really good point. Why now? Because sometimes people are like, just buy my stuff, but there's no interest in rushing, right? They know they can come back to your site at another time and so forth. The more data you provide them as to why this matters right now. That's a really, really good point.
Yeah, and sometimes it's going to be internal urgency. Like, for example, if he like just lost his cell phone charger, there's natural urgency of like, I need a new cell phone charger. But then there's the internal urgency where that person is coming to your website and maybe something happened within them where they're like, I'm looking for the gift. I'm looking for the Christmas gift. And so I need to make a decision now. But if you can then create that external urgency as well, it really creates a powerful combo getting them to take action.
I love that. That's a really, really good point. So let's talk any other products we can play with, just because I want them to hear about how you support people and like, just give me some ideas and like what worked for them. And because, copy is always this thing that drives everybody crazy. The words you use just really matter. And not everybody's good at that. So like
another one is like, we've supported people who have like different journals and planners. And, it's one of the things that I encourage our clients to look at is like, okay, say for example, if we're trying to sell a journal or a planner, with the type of person that's going to purchase that, what are other things that we can make sure that we're educating them on through the copy that are connected to that. So for example, one of these campaigns we did for a pretty well-known person, we're selling her planners, and the emails on this is so key for any e-com brand, is once someone purchases your product, especially if it's on your website, I know on Amazon it's a little more challenging, is make sure that there is a buyer campaign, an email series that's going out to that person after they purchase the product, because it's interesting, the people that are most likely to purchase are the people who recently purchased.
That's a good point.
And so if they just purchase, in this scenario, they just purchased a journal. So then we made sure to create an email series educating them on other aspects of productivity, time management, everything that was involved in that, but then also started introducing other products that were very complementary to that in the email series that they may enjoy as well. Different water bottles that they can purchase, different programs that they had, online programs that were complementary to those physical products. And over time, that really adds up, because think about it, for say 100 people go through that, now they're seeing multiple offers over the course of 2 weeks while they're getting ready to get their product.
So do you think that people should email them like right away over a 2-week period or longer? Or what do you think? What do you feel?
Yeah, it ranges on the different type of product. The campaigns that we've done in the past and we've like told, kind of guided people through, is you want to make sure to email them immediately. Obviously there's like the confirmation email and here's when you can expect it, but also right off the bat, a welcome email. Hey, welcome to our world. Here is our values. Here's what we stand for. Here's what you can expect from us moving forward over the course of the next couple weeks. We're going to be sending you, with this cookware that you just purchased, we're going to be sending you different recipes or different tips and tricks that you're going to be able to use your product more effectively. And depending on the business, I would say like general, what I've recommended, and I'm not saying this is like set in stone, everybody has their own ways of doing it, but usually over the course of 10 days to 2 weeks, there is an email going out every second day to every third day, providing some value connected to what that person was interested in, and then guiding them to other ways to take action. And those other ways could be purchasing new products. It could also be like joining like a Facebook group. It could be getting on auto pay, like a monthly reoccurring subscription. Mm-hmm.
No,
watching a webinar.
That's really good point. Other people in the summit, like Ryan Dice was talking about, you've got to figure out a way to capture their emails. You have to be able to, like, be able to engage and keep in touch with them, because that's where the money really comes in. So I agree with you. Absolutely. That's a really good point. So 2 to 3 days, you think, huh?
Again, it like totally ranges, I would say, on like the type of business. And because the way that I approach things, it's getting clear of how some people's comfort level is emailing their list like 5 to 6 days a week, and others it's like 2 days a week. I know Ryan Dice says like the more you email, the more money you make, there's a lot of truth in that. And I also think people got to overcome, if they're like, I don't want to email my list too much because I don't want to annoy them. Well, you're paying for them to be on your email list, so long that you're delivering value too. You're not being annoying, you're being helpful. If you just keep saying buy my stuff, yeah, you're being annoying in that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's value drops some selling stuff. Value drops some selling stuff, right? So you got to mix it in. You can't be a pig. That's essentially like what you're saying. Yeah. Got it. Yeah, no, and some of the more advanced internet marketers will just go for the kill. They'll just send a ton of emails. It also depends on your personality, testing, and so forth, right? I'll also say for the journals, I can't tell you enough as how many people on the planet's already sold journals and done really well with them. So also looking at what's going on in the world, who's selling them, what colors they're using, what they're saying, how they're visually displaying it, all of that helps with the copy as well, right? I mean, all the color and all the, and the verbiage, right? You know what I mean? If somebody's selling a similar journal, that helps too. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing that I would recommend too with like e-com brands, if there is not necessarily like a person who is the face of your company, it's something that, especially if you're writing emails, I would consider just making those emails come from a person versus like just a generic company. Right. It makes a huge difference in just making it feel a lot more personal.
Absolutely. Or just getting someone else to do it because it's really annoying. I mean, if you're not a good writer, you're not a good writer, and you know who you are. I always did most of my copy just because I don't know, I had a knack for it, but a lot of times, even stuff that I did, I had to hire copywriters to check all my work. You know what I mean? So most people, you know who you are if you need some help, so I get that. I totally get that. That's really, really helpful. Any other products you can think of? Because I know we're running out of time, but
we can pick like if there's like even random ones I can share with you.
Let's see, a pet product like.
Oh yes, yeah. One of our a couple of years ago, I did it for pet products in the bunny niche, which was kind of random. Like bunny products. And you know what? Oh my gosh. The thing that I learned about that is like, yeah, like we hear the riches are in the niches, right? But like it was very successful pet brand that sold all the sorts of things for bunnies. And every week they would do an email feature of showcasing one of their customers' bunnies.
Oh, that's so cute.
And people loved it. They like drank it in. And then at the end, they would just be like, hey, by the way, we have 20% off this upcoming week. We got this deal going on. But yeah, also
really simple way to engage the audience, keep them inspired. And make them happy and check their emails, right? I mean, a part of it is just making sure they're actually checking in with you, otherwise they
Yeah.
don't pay attention. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. And so say even if it's a pet brand or really any product online. So I want to kind of close the loop. So I talked about like the credibility and trust and then the call to action. But the first three C's, one is the first one is capture attention.
Mm.
So how are you getting people's attention? Because if you don't have that, nothing else really matters. They're not going to read the rest of your copy. So on your sales pages, that really looks like your headlines. On your emails, that looks like your subject lines. But let's give the pet example. If you're marketing to current customers who already know you, like you, trust you, you can literally even just say like 20% off of our top this sort of dog food, or uh, by Friday. But if you're doing more an educational based piece where they maybe don't know much about you yet, it may look like the top 5 dog food brands if you're looking to keep your dog healthy or something like that. So you would keep it a little more general. So asking right audience, right time, right step in where are they coming in at the process? Are they coming in from an ad? Are they coming in from your email list? Are they coming in from just showing up at your store? So just having an idea of how you're going to capture their attention.
So different sequences, you're saying, for different, where they are in the process, like who they are and like what they're doing.
Yeah. And just being mindful of like, where are they going to be coming from? And then the second C is create interest. So once you've captured their attention, how can you create interest for them to keep reading? No matter what product you have, stories work so well in copy. So especially for like pet brands, sharing stories of your happy customers and maybe how, if you have certain products that really help their pets, them sharing how they love that also connects into the credibility and trust of people sharing their stories. And then number 3, which is so important, is clarify benefits. So what are going to be the benefits of whatever it is you're selling? Say you're selling dog food. Okay. And it has particular ingredients. What are the advantages of those ingredients? And then what's the benefit to the dog? Okay. It's going to keep their teeth really white, or it's going to make sure that their bones stay really strong, or it's going to make sure that they're they have consistent energy throughout the day, or if they have certain challenges depending on the dog type, you're highlighting those as you're communicating the benefits so that they see that it'll work for them.
I love that. I mean, it's totally true. Sometimes when people come to me with their products, it's only about the functionality of the product. Nobody cares about the functionality. They only care what they care about, right? So they only care that the dog's going to live longer. They're only going to care if, the dog doesn't ache anymore. Those are the things, or if they have horrible breath, you got to fix it. Those are the things that people really care about. And so, especially the inventors out there, the product creators who are just so focused on what they're doing and their little tinkering of their particular product, that's not really the way that it's going to make any money for you. So you got to think about the rest of the planet and what matters to them, and create copy and create energy around that to get people inspired, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so tell me about how, like, some people who are watching this are obviously going to be interested in getting help. So how do you help people? Let's talk about that real quick. I try to help everybody at these events, so that if you like what she has to say, and you need some support, tell us what's your deal. I think you had something set up for us, right? And you're going to give me a link, and we're just have people know more about you, right?
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways that we work with our clients. We have different courses, we have workshops, we have ways where our team of copywriters actually reviews people's copy one-on-one to give you real-time feedback of what tweaks and adjustments that you can be making directly to your websites or to your sales pages. There's many different ways. But one gift that I would love to give everyone on the call today is one of our cheat sheets, which is called the Client Headlines Cheat Sheet. So there's 15 types of headlines that you can use that are plug and play of how to help you capture the attention of your ideal customer or client, depending on what you're selling. But they're templates, no matter what kind of business you're in. You can just pour yours in there, and then you can use them for headlines for your emails and your sales pages.
These are time-tested, proven
Mm-hmm.
headlines that work for people who, and I'm just trying to support here, so who are trying to, who are interested in basically just looking for headlines that'll actually sell, that'll actually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like, for example, one is, the X biggest mistakes to avoid when blank. So that could look like, the 5 biggest mistakes to avoid when you are in the, when you, in the first 60 days of owning a new pet. And that's something like a pet food store, could have as a headline.
Good one, actually. It's a good one. I like that.
Or the 7 biggest mistakes to avoid when planning your 2021 goals that could be connected to a planner.
I want it. Okay, I'm gonna get this list too. That's cool. Cool. So what we're doing, there's a link below this video so that you guys can go get access to the headlines. I'm just trying to send everybody to all the people that I'm working with on this, because I hand selected every single person comment to make sure that everybody's taken care of and happy, and good people are helping one another. So so this headline, you just opt in, you get access to these headlines, and then from there it'll give them information about how to get hold of you and other things that you do. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. And lots of value.
You guys do services, you have courses, you do all sorts of different things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do copy. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. I really appreciate you. It's really been helpful, and I hope you guys got value out of it. Again, the link for information on how to get these headlines and anything else is listed below. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me, Karen.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.